Good day everybody, welcome to today's video. Today's video, we're going to do a head gasket test. We're going to test my vehicle or my engine to determine whether or not the head gasket could possibly be bad or not. Now, if you don't have the obvious symptoms, then troubleshooting and to determine whether or not a head gasket is fault is going to be another problem, which could very well be the issue with mine. We need to do this test to determine or rule it out that if it is or isn't. Now, some of the things a bad head gasket could do, obviously, is misfire. You could have coolant and oil mixed. You could have exhaust gases, whatever, going into your radiator. Pull the radiator cap, you can see the bubbles. We're going to be going through all this stuff and we're going to be looking. And one of the things that is for sure a sign, but I don't have it, is that you could take a sample of your coolant and you could add this dye to it, and if it turns a certain color, then yes, it proves that you do indeed have a head gasket leak. I don't have that. We're just going to go with some tools and some physical looks, and let's get this started. As we talked about, cylinder number 5 seems to be an issue, 100 psi. This one right here. Cylinder number 3 is reading good, is one that gave us the misfire. Now, one thing I have been suffering for a while is that the coolant bottle is always low. Doesn't use a lot of coolant, but the coolant bottle's low. Do I have the smoked out exhaust yet? No, I don't. Like, if you were burning antifreeze, this is basically how your vehicle will look behind. It's just like full of smoke like this. And when you drive, there'd be like a huge smoke screen behind you. Coming up to the engine, you're gonna look for the obvious. If you have like a head gasket where the oil and coolant have mixed, everything's gonna be milky inside. So for example, if I would take off my cap here and it'd be all milky up there, or if I pull up my dipstick here, and then obviously on the dipstick, instead of being an oil color, it'd be all milky. It'd be very pronounced, so there'd be no way you can mix it up between oil and that. It'd be like white, and that's how you know for sure that you got a head gasket issue or some other kind of major issue. Now obviously too, depending where your head gasket leak could possibly be, you could very well be seeing coolant on coming out of the engine block or whatever. My engine block is actually wet. If it's oil or whatever, I'm not sure, but it is wet from basically where the head gasket is and down. Probably not going to see too well, but you can definitely tell from where the head gasket is and down. It's definitely wet, more so at the rear here. And also some other symptoms is that what this whole video series is about is a misfire code can cause or can be related to a head gasket fault. Now, however, our cylinder number 3, which was the misfire, is testing good. For some reason, cylinder number 5, if you guys haven't watched that video, tested 100 psi. The compression is really low there, but I'm not getting a misfire on that cylinder yet. One thing which is a big bummer for most people, pretty much everybody, you know, including me if it was to happen, is that not only is the head gasket very expensive to fix, there's probably a 99% chance that your catalytic converters are toast as well, and we all know those are very expensive. So at that point in time, depending on your vehicle, how old it is, it's probably better just to scrap it, unless you really like it or attached to it, whatever. But if you're gonna do a head gasket and do new catalytic converters, it's not going to be a good day for you. Another thing that we can do is that we're going to pop the rad cap off. And what we're going to do is we're going to start the Jeep. And if the head gasket is leaking enough, we could see some bubbles coming up from the radiator. As you can see right here, I'm not seeing any bubbles coming out of the radiator, so I'm going to rule that out for now. Another thing you want to have a look at too, or notice, is that if you have a possible head gasket failure, is that there's a very good possibility that you are having overheating issues. You pretty much get an idea whether or not to tell if you have a head gasket failure or not. Typically, most of the time, you're gonna have the big white exhaust coming out the back that like could possibly fill up a street, or just like a constant puff of white. Definitely the mixing of the coolant and the oil. Those are for sure a sign. Otherwise, yeah, you just gotta keep on rolling. Head gaskets are not cheap, and you really gotta look at your options when they happen. Anyways, I'm gonna talk to you guys later.